Power, control, and deception. Gotham City is still recovering from the events of Robert Pattinson's movie The Batman, and the streets are certainly more dangerous than ever in the new TV show The Penguin. So my friends, with season 1 of The Penguin now available on Now TV, have we got a blockbuster, a 50-50, or a flopbuster on our hands? The Penguin is back on Now TV, bringing Gotham's underworld alive like we've never seen it before. Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, is on a mission to take over the streets of Gotham and rise to power. With his clever mind and ruthless determination, there's no telling how far he could go. After the fall of Carmine Falcone, Gotham's criminal landscape is in chaos, and the Penguin sees the perfect opportunity to seize control. But as he begins to set out his plan, he quickly realizes that taking the throne isn't as easy as he thought. New enemies rise, alliances shift, and Oswald has a fight to maintain his position in a city that's always on the brink of imploding. The challenge is clear. Oswald must navigate Gotham's web of crime, betrayal, and power struggles, all while trying to stay one step ahead of those who want to see him fall. But it's not just external enemies. He has to confront his own inner demons and dark side of his ambition. The city itself is a character, constantly testing his resolve and pushing him closer to the edge. The Penguin brings a fresh take to the Batman universe, offering a deep dive into one of the most iconic villains. The show explores Oswald's rise to power in a world where loyalty is scarce and trust is a luxury. With its complex characters, intense drama, and raw depiction of Gotham, this series certainly, without a doubt, sets itself apart from typical superhero movies. We're getting 8 episodes that are made up of roughly an hour in length. I have to say that I really wanted more, but that's just because I'm greedy. And to be clear, I am not criticizing the show. I just thought it was that good. The plot and storyline for the show was packed with suspense, making it nearly impossible to stop watching once you've started. One moment that really stood out to me in the show was when Oswald Cobblepot was being cornered by one of Gotham's most ruthless crime bosses. The scene is dimly lit, with shadows creeping around the walls, and you can just feel the tension building as their conversation converts into a standoff. It's one of those moments where you're just holding your breath, just waiting to see what happens next. The conflict here is Cobblepot's rise to power. He's trying to prove he's more than just a second-rate thug, but the established players in Gotham aren't going to hand over their turf without a fight. In this scene, he has to outsmart someone who's more powerful and experienced, while also making it clear he's not someone to mess with. The resolution is brilliant. Cobblepot doesn't win by brute force, he plays it smart. He uses information he's gathered to turn the tables, exposing a weakness in his rival. By the end of the scene, you see the shift in power dynamics, and it's clear that the Penguin is someone to take seriously. Overall, the suspense and clever twists just keep you so intrigued and completely invested. It's not just about action. It's about watching Cobblepot's cunning and ambition play out in a way that feels grounded and unpredictable. The storyline perfectly balances tension and payoff, leaving you eager to see what happens next. Now, I seriously had to put my brain to work here, but when it comes to the critiques of the show, there's definitely a lot to unpack. So let's talk about one of the earlier episodes. There's a scene where Cobblepot is trying to intimidate a rival gang. The tension is there, and the performances are definitely solid, but the pacing just felt a little bit off. It's one of those moments where you're expecting things to escalate pretty quickly, but instead it drags just enough to pull you out of the moment. The challenge with the Penguin is balancing its slower, character-driven storytelling with the need for impactful, engaging scenes. While it does a fantastic job of building atmosphere and developing Cobblepot's character, some scenes feel like they linger too much, making the pacing uneven at times. Thankfully, the show seems to find its rhythm as it goes on. By the midpoint, the story picks up steam, and those slower moments feel more intentional, giving you time to really soak in the world and the characters. It's clear they're trying to tell a layered story, and they largely succeeded. Overall, while The Penguin has a couple of pacing hiccups, the depth of the characters and the intense, gritty world more than make up for it. The show stars Colin Farrell as the Penguin, Kristen Milioti as Sophia Falcone, Henze Feliz as Victor Aligar, Mark Strong as Carmine Falcone, Clancy Brown as Salvatore, Theo Rossi as Dr. Julian Rush, Carmen Iogo as Eve Carlo, and Michael Zegan as Alberto Falcone. Now, when it comes to the standout performances and character development in this show, I think that there are some seriously brilliant performances. Now, my top picks for the standout ones to watch are Sophia, Victor, and Oswald. Victor goes through huge organic growth over the course of this show. He starts out as this quiet, hesitant enforcer trying to find his place in Gotham's criminal underworld, but transforms into someone that's confident and fiercely loyal with his own sense of justice. There's a moment early on where Victor has to step into a deal gone wrong. He's unsure, fumbling through negotiations while trying not to anger anyone. You can see the insecurity in his eyes as he hesitates, but then he makes this unexpected move, standing up for what he believes is right. You can see the insecurity in his eyes as he hesitates, but then he makes this unexpected move, standing up for what he believes is right. That's when you start to notice the seeds of his growth. Victor's main challenge is deciding where his loyalties lie. Does he stick with Cobblepot, knowing the Penguin's rise to power could bring more chaos to Gotham, or does he follow his own moral compass, even if it means going against the people he's come to respect? It's a constant tug of war for him, and you feel the weight of his decisions. By the end of the season, Victor takes a stand. He confronts the Penguin during a pivotal moment, showing he's no longer afraid to speak his mind or take risks. It's a powerful scene where he makes it clear that while he's loyal, he won't blindly follow orders that go against his values. Watching Victor's journey is so rewarding. He starts as someone unsure of his role, but his growth into a strong, independent character really does strengthen that portrayal for viewers watching, which makes it feel so real. It's not rushed or forced. It's earned. His character arc adds depth to the series, and by the finale, you can't help but root for him, even if his future in Gotham is uncertain. When it comes to Sophia, it feels like she's holding back for a lot of the show. Kind of like she's got the handbrake on. But once she decides she's had enough, she takes control of her destiny and starts playing the game, but on her own terms. Sophia's story takes a big turn when she's released from Arkham after being framed for murder. At first, she's cautious, unsure who to trust, but when the pressure mounts, we learn about her past through a flashback where we get a glimpse of her being given the name the Hangman. The flashback shows us how she was betrayed by someone close to her, and it's clear why she's so wary about trusting anyone. That betrayal is a key turning point. Once that trust is broken, she's done playing by anyone else's rules. Sophia's main challenge is trying to rebuild her life after being framed and surviving in a city like Gotham, where power is everything. She's constantly fighting to prove her worth, but what really pushes her is the internal battle between wanting to trust again and realizing that to survive, she needs to take matters into her own hands. By the end of the season, Sophia decides she's not going to let anyone control her fate anymore. She stops playing the victim and makes a bold move to claim power for herself. The scene where she takes control of a key situation is intense. She's no longer a person waiting for things to happen to her. She's driving the action now. Sophia's journey is fascinating. She starts off as someone who's wronged, but she doesn't let that define her. Instead, she uses her experience to fuel her rise to power. Watching her take control of her destiny, especially after everything she's been through, makes her one of the more compelling characters in the Penguin show. Her arc feels like it's just the beginning, and it's really exciting to see where we could potentially go next with a season 2. That leaves my chosen standout one to watch, out of the ones to watch, being Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin. Oswald Cobblepot is such a pleasure to watch. He's constantly plotting, planning and scheming, and his determination to take over the city of Gotham is unmatched. You can really feel the fire in his eyes every single time he takes that one step closer to getting what he wants. With Carmine Falcone out of the picture, the Penguin's eyes are set on taking control of Gotham's underworld. From the start, you see him making moves, aligning with the right people, eliminating rivals, and carving out his piece of the pie. One of the best moments early on is when he secures a key alliance, and you can tell he's not just playing the short game. He's thinking long term, always one step ahead, with that signature smirk on his face. The biggest challenge that Oswald faces is that Gotham's underworld doesn't exactly play nice, and he's up against some serious competition. Not only does he have to contend with ruthless rivals, but he's also got to deal with the fact that his own loyalty is constantly being tested. By the end of the season, Oswald takes control of the situation, but it comes at a cost. He's faced betrayal, conflict, and violence, but his strategic mind prevails. His rise to power is solidified, but it's clear he's not the same person he was at the start. He's learned that to hold the crown of Gotham, he needs to be more ruthless than ever. Oswald's journey is all about ambition, strategy, and resilience. Watching him go from a clever and underestimated figure to a powerhouse in Gotham is one of the most satisfying parts about the whole Penguin series. His growth throughout the show is a masterclass in determination and survival. Now, he may be a villain, but you really just can't help but respect and admire how he manages to pull off some of his schemes. When it comes to the visuals and cinematography, the Penguin does an incredible job of pulling you into the story and immersing you into the gritty, dangerous world of Gotham City. One standout visual moment happens when the rain is seriously pouring down in a tense meeting at the docks, with the dim glow of flickering streetlights that cut through the darkness. It's such a perfect Gotham vibe. So there's this scene in the first episode where a standoff is happening at a rainy pier. The streetlights barely light up the area, and the camera focuses on these puddles reflecting the skyline of Gotham. You can almost feel the cold air and hear the tension in the silence. It's one of these moments that really makes you stop and really take in the world you've built. The way they film the show cranks up the tension. The camera moves through these tight, shadowy alleyways and smoky back rooms, almost like it's part of the scene. It makes everything feel claustrophobic, like the danger is closing in from all sides, and the lighting make every moment feel like it's on the verge of exploding. One big moment sticks out where the Penguin finally gets a win. They slowly zoom in on his face, and you can see everything. His satisfaction, his ambition, and this scary realization of how far he's willing to go. It's subtle, but it really hits hard because the visuals really draw you into his headspace. The dark and gritty look of the Penguin isn't just to make Gotham look cool. It's about telling Oswald's story. Everything from the shadows to the framing mirrors his internal struggles, making you feel his ambition, his fear, and how dangerous his rise to power really is. The visuals don't just show you Gotham, they make you feel it. When it comes to the entertainment value, the Penguin TV show feels like an absolute success. It's gritty, engaging, and oozes tension and excitement from start all the way through to finish. The biggest challenge with keeping you engaged is balancing the dark and intense moments with enough character-driven drama to keep things from feeling too heavy. There's a lot going on in Gotham, and the pacing needs to stay very tight. Fortunately though, the show strikes a great balance between storytelling and action. It never feels too slow, and the humour, when it lands, provides a great counterpart to the tension. The witty dialogue and the sharp character interactions adds a bit of lightness amongst all the chaos, which really helps with making things feel less overwhelming, which keeps things from feeling too overwhelming. Overall, the Penguin really leaves you feeling very satisfied. The pacing keeps you hooked, and by the end of the season, you're invested in all of these characters and their stories. It's intense, but in a good way. It's got that balance of thrill, suspense, and dark humour that just keeps you coming back for more. I definitely walked away feeling absolutely fulfilled and extremely excited with where the story could possibly go next with the seasons to come. This is a show that knows exactly how to entertain without overstaying its welcome. I give season 1 of The Penguin, for the first time ever on Binge Watcher, a 5 out of 5 buckets, meaning it's an astonishing binge-watching blockbuster. So here's the binge-watching question. If you were in the world of the Batman, living in Gotham City, would you fight for good, join the criminal underworld, or try and avoid everything as best as possible? Or would you simply leave? If it was me, I'd like to say I'd fight for good. But on the other hand, I have a feeling that I'd end up being like Victor and getting completely swept up against my will into the criminal underworld. But let me know what all of you think down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to smash a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and follow us on social media to stay up to date with the latest content. If you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more. I'm Matthew, this is Binge Watcher. Thanks for binging with me.